Welcome to Central News for Tuesday, 17th of June. I'm Amy Forrest. In today's news, this week is National Volunteer Week and the Waikato District Health Board are keen to acknowledge the many people from throughout the Waikato community who give their time to help people in their 5 hospitals around the region. But it is the DHB's newest and youngest volunteers who are in the spotlight. The enthusiasm and energy 11 Hamilton teenagers are bringing to their volunteering duties at Waiora Waikato Hospital campus in Hamilton this week will not only help them long term, but also aid the hundreds of visitors who come to the hospital every day to visit patients. Waikato DHB Volunteer Coordinator Chris Atkinson said she was thrilled to get so much interest from Hamilton teenagers when the call went out for the help recently. She says we celebrate the knowledge, skills and invaluable contributions of volunteers. These young people bring an enthusiasm and energy to our hospital that is very refreshing. The future of business, online security, entertainment and the City of Hamilton will be up for discussion in the University of Waikato Winter Lecture Series, held every Wednesday in August. All lectures will have a forward-looking theme as the university celebrates its 50th anniversary and looks to the next 50 years and beyond. Highlights include One City to Invest in. NetSafe Executive Director Martin Cocker will lead a presentation on online safety and ways to protect you and your family from online crime. TV presenter Jessie Mulligan leads a panel discussion on the future of entertainment and viewing. And 37 Degrees South Independent Director Chris Inslee looks at the roles of iwi and sustainability in the future of business. All lectures are free and open to the public each Wednesday in August, 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. at the Gallagher Academy of Performing Arts. Recent torrential rain and the resulting risk of flooding and slips have highlighted the importance of effective natural hazard management in Waikato. The Strategy and Policy Committee found that Waikato has more than 1,000 rivers and streams, and on average, Waikato people can expect significant flooding every 2 to 3 years. Central government, the private sector and individuals all have some responsibility for hazard management, but the largest share of statutory responsibility rests with local government. Committee Chairman Bob Sincock says the important point is that we need to work closely with central government, other local authorities, welfare and health agencies and the community to ensure the best ways of dealing with our known risks. Growing adoption of smartphone technology by Kiwi children is influencing the travel decisions of Kiwi families, according to a local travel specialist. House of Travel owner-operator Himal Jani says kids are using Apple or Android apps to research the destinations they'd most like to travel to and sharing this with their parents. Jani says it's not just the destinations they're researching either. Kids are also researching hotels and the surrounds along with activities to do while there. He says families appear to be more adventurous in their travel choice and it's the responsibility of the travel industry to keep up with technology advances and with the needs of the current generation. Taking a look at the marine forecast now. Raglan, early Wednesday, southwest 20 knots, rising high tide, 13 minutes past 2 p.m. Over the hill to Tauranga now, moderate northerly swell dying out Wednesday. High tide is at 14 minutes past 11 a.m. Just ahead, we take a look at more of the field days. Field Days 2014 was Warwick Roberts' first as president of the New Zealand National Field Day Society. Anne-Marie went along to the Field Days and spoke with him and Vice President Peter Nation.
Peter Nation, tell me about this year's theme for the Field Days 2014, managing resources for a competitive advantage. How does the average farmer relate to that?
I think it brings to the forefront of some of the importance of them to look at the main resources they use in farming and make better utilisation of that through technology. but also protect it. So there's a number of resources they need. Obviously good soils, good water, good genetics and good pastures. Because in New Zealand we're basically a grass-fed market, so we have to have very good utilisation of grass. And if you look at around New Zealand and the agricultural industry, innovation and technology enables them to better use those resources for a competitive advantage around the world, because our key competitive advantage in agriculture is pastoral farming.
Do you think it would be fair to say that one of a farmer's resources could be his staff as well?
Yes, it's pointing out quite clearly that the lack of trained, qualified staff for not just farms but also all the other industries that are part of agriculture is absolutely critical, and we're finding at the moment that we're having to import staff, and that's not the total answer. We've got to develop our own.
How do you think the dairy industry and farming in general can better retain and attract the quality staff?
Oh, through education, and I think through encouragement of the fact that agriculture is a basic, long-living organisation which will always have a job there.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Peter?
Yeah, I think we've got to make agriculture sexy, and we've actually got to get schools to understand that agriculture is a career for the future, and that it actually does bring a good level of income. And that young people can actually get on in life and make a career out of agriculture. Yeah. I agree with Warwick. You know, we've got a net shortage of staff coming through our schools, and there's no reason other than I think it's a little bit of ignorance, and that people just need to know that there is a career in front of them.
Now, you have travelled the path as share milker Warwick and then now through to farm owner. When you used to come to the field days as perhaps just a farmer, not taking the official hat off, what did the field days give you?
It was a window. You came to check out the things you desire, the things you could afford, and the things you actually went home with. But you were able to compare, and it's still exactly that today. That's why people come, because they can see everything right here. And like a lady goes to a frock shop, if she can't find the frock she wants, she's out of there.
I have to agree with that sentiment. Peter, what's the biggest challenge facing the dairy industry and farming in general at the moment?
I think perception's one of them, where people actually make a perception on an industry they may not necessarily understand. But also the challenge is actually, as we talked about, staff, and also capital to actually invest in that growth, because we've still got a bit of upside in New Zealand yet. It's finding that sweet spot and actually being able to take the growth to the next level.
And what a successful field days it was. No doubt Warwick Roberts will be looking forward to many more like it. Volunteers are a crucial part of our communities, and many events are taking place around the country as part of the National Volunteer Week. Hilary spoke with Heather Moore of Volunteering Waikato to find out more.
Welcome to the show, Heather.
Thank you.
Now, how is National Volunteer Week celebrated around New Zealand?
The volunteer centres around the country all hold different events during National Volunteer Week. Several of them, like Volunteering Waikato, are holding an awards event. Lots of media, lots of advertising features, lots of Facebook campaigns, but also many organisations around the country will be finding a way to acknowledge their volunteers during the week.
Some people may feel like they don't actually have much to give, but they would like to volunteer. What would your advice be to them?
Well, if they're feeling they don't have much to give in the way of skills or experience, I would say that everybody has skills, experience that can be used by a community organisation. If people are feeling they don't have much time to give, one of the things that we find are volunteers for one-off events or functions. So you can get involved with helping out with a function, like setting up for Relay for Life, or helping out with a hospice dinner, or whatever it might be, rather than an ongoing commitment. But we also have roles that are, maybe just once a month. So we have about 240 different roles listed with us. There's something for everyone.
So the skills can be anything from, accounting to driving or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to have a particular skill set. There are some roles that need a particular skill or qualification, like an accounting role, for instance. But we get lots of people who want a position we have at the moment is helping make sandwiches in the morning for St Vincent de Paul, who deliver those sandwiches to schools where the children don't have lunch. So yeah, there really is a wide range.
And because you guys have your Excellence Awards coming up this week on Friday night, so when you're choosing, I mean, there's so much volunteers already in the Waikato. How do you choose one to win?
So for the Volunteer of the Year, we have 9 nominees, and for the Volunteer of the Youth Award, we have 11 nominees. When they're nominated, whoever's nominating them fills in a form that has particular categories. We put together a panel of judges. 3 of them are outside of our organisation and 1 of our board members. So they individually assess every single one of the nomination forms, giving each category a score, and then the judges come together and deliberate.
To find out more, visit volunteeringwaikato.org. Coming up after the break, the ever-popular Field Days tractor pull. Welcome back. The ever-popular Field Days tractor pull competition was set to be another crowd favourite in 2014. Anne-Marie spoke with tractor pull coordinator Andrew Raymer to find out how rain will affect the fastest growing motorsport in New Zealand.
Andrew, you've been involved with the tractor pull here at the Field Days for about 15 years. It's a bit of a wet one today. How does the weather affect the tractor pull?
Quite a lot, actually. So we actually cancelled it this morning till about 10:30, 11 o'clock, just after this last night's storm, and it came pretty good. The sand track heals pretty quick, so within sort of 10 minutes of working the cultivation, it got going. It was good. And then about an hour and a half ago, a shower came over, and all the times and calibrations are out the window, really. So yeah, the sand track, it's quite forgiving, but it does react really quick to the rain. So as soon as we get a heavy shower, it's all out the window, and it speeds things up, so it gets easier to pull the things down. And yeah, all of a sudden they're flying down the track, so yeah.
The Mystery Creek tractor pull is quite unique in that it has 2 types of competition. Tell me about that.
Okay, so for a long time, probably say 30 years, there's been a weight adjusted competition, which is how it's always worked. You've turned up with your tractor, it gets dyno tested for your horsepower, and we adjust the weight. Depending on more horsepower, you get to tow more weight down the track. And first guy over the line, sort of over 100 metre course. So that's been our tractor racing or the weight adjusted competition. We've had that here for a long time. About 5 or 6 years ago, we introduced weight transfer, which is sort of what the rest of the world does as far as tractor pulling goes, which is where the weight starts off on wheels and it's rolling, so it's easy to pull. Anything can pull it, but it transfers over onto a sledge as you pull it down to down the course with a hydraulic setup. And so that's called the weight transfer. So there's 2 types of pulling, and that's, you won't even get to the 100 metres with that. It's how far you can pull it. So the first competition is how fast, and the second one is how far.
There's also a couple of types of tractors, a standard and a modified.
That's right. So sort of what you get is guys that will all turn up with their standard tractors. It's just open to any farmer or contractor, and they bring their tractors down. And after about 5 or 10 years of that, they've won it a couple of times, and then they decide to look under the bonnet and see what they can do. And they find out a bigger injector pump and some turbos and bits and pieces will soup this thing up. So they go home and build a modified, which there's a couple of classes in that even, but essentially the first class which we got here is you can add fuel and add air as much as you want, and that's what we've got here as a modified class.
It is one of the loudest, most thrilling events at the Field Days. What do you think keeps people coming back, A, as competitors and B, as spectators year after year?
I think as spectators, it's just easy to follow. Like these 2 types of competitions, but the racing, certainly there's 2 guys head off on the end and it's first one across the line, and then just anything that moves at Field Days and noise and smoke basically. As competitors, I think it's the camaraderie, and a lot of guys enter over a lot of years. So the guy might have come second last year and see if he can beat them this year and that sort of thing. So a bit of camaraderie, a bit of networking and that sort of thing. So yeah.
I have to ask you, of course, it is Field Days. What's your favourite exhibit at the Field Days?
All the tractor stands. There's not much else to go and look at. We all head over the tractor stands. If we knock off early, we'll go and have a look at them.
Hey Andrew, thank you for your time, and I hope the tractor pull racing gets back up and running, the weather behaves itself.
It will. There's a bit of a heavy rain tonight, but the rest of the week's looking pretty good, so we're pretty optimistic.
Hamilton City Hawks Athletics Club member and Sir Edmund Hillary Scholar Christy Bailey is one of 4 Waikato University students off to Nepal at the end of the year. She caught up with Amanda to fill her in on this once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Christy, how did this all come about?
Oh, well, it's really just an opportunity within the Sir Edmund Hillary Scholarship that once you've been on there for, I think, a minimum of 2 years, you have the opportunity to apply for the Step Higher Award. So I sort of threw my hat into the ring, just, hoped for the best and didn't really rate my chances, and kind of got that magical letter in the mail that I was pretty surprised to get.
Excellent. So, and how did you and your family react when you found out the news?
It was definitely a bit of a shock. I certainly wasn't expecting it. So I think I remember sort of reading the letter and then sort of doing about double, triple, quadruple take, and then there may have been a bit of screaming as I ran through the house to sort of show my mum and make sure that I could actually read at that point in time to make sure it was actually real. So yeah, I was certainly in a bit of a shock. It was a very nice surprise.
Must have been very exciting for you and your family.
Definitely.
So have you done much travelling?
No, not really. I've just been away overseas for a few athletic competitions and things like that, but no, not an avid traveller really.
Excellent. Well, now you can be going off to Nepal. So what will you be doing in Nepal? Are you going to conquer Mount Everest?
No, not as such. It's more about sort of going over there and observing some of Sir Edmund Hillary's legacy and the work that his Himalayan Trust has done over there. So that'll be just a wonderful experience to see sort of the impact that he's had on the people over in Nepal.
Okay, so will you be getting in there and helping the people? Do you know?
There's the hope that we will be able to, depending on the sort of circumstances. So yeah, I'm really hoping that I will be able to do something, but we also get to contribute by fundraising before we leave. So if we don't while we're over there, we're certainly contributing before we go.
Excellent. So you're going to go over there with a bit of fundraising money to give to the plan. Excellent. So why do you think you were selected?
Oh, it's a bit of a tough one. I guess I must have ticked some of the right boxes that the committee were looking for when I sent in my application. So yeah, I definitely didn't rate my chances when I applied, so it was certainly a huge surprise to kind of be shown that I met that criteria and was successful with my application.
And what are you looking forward to most about the trip?
Oh, I think it's really hard to kind of pin down to one thing, just the experience of going to a place in the world that I never imagined that I'd ever go to. I think just the possibility of what I might be able to see, should the weather prevail, of being able to actually set sights on the mountain itself would be amazing, but just experiencing the people and what it's like in such a different culture over there will be just something that's amazing.
How will this help your career?
Well, I guess it's, probably not an opportunity that most people will have, so I guess it's something I'll be able to put down on my CV as an experience that I've had and something that's definitely going to shape me, I hope, for the better as a well-rounded person.
Excellent. Well, it definitely is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Christy, and you obviously deserve it. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
We're hoping to catch up with Christy when she gets back. Coming up next, the Te Aroha Arts Festival. If you've just joined us, welcome to Central News. The other week we had the organisers of Te Aroha Arts Festival on Central News. This week Amanda caught up again with Phil Garland to hear how the event went and if it will be coming back next year.
Phil, thank you for coming back to talk to us. The Arts Festival on Queen's Birthday weekend, how did it go?
Well, it went reasonably well. We could have done with a bigger audience. But the people that turned up thoroughly enjoyed it, and the performers all enjoyed it as well.
Yep, excellent. So would you be coming back next year with the Arts Festival?
I think we probably will do it again.
Yeah.
We'll probably change the weekend.
Okay.
And we'll probably enlarge it slightly, I think, and take in more venues around the town.
Yeah, so what was it about the Queen's Birthday weekend that didn't quite work out for you?
I think the possibility being a long weekend that a lot of people left town.
Yep.
And also we had some competition with another folk festival, for example, up the road on the Firth of Thames. So,
okay, a bit of competition's never really good, is it?
Something we found out after we started organising things.
Okay, well that's all right. I'm sure you can figure that all out next year. So how do you keep the performance at a high level if there is only a small turnout?
Most of the performers that I know will perform equally well in front of 2 people and 500. It doesn't matter to them.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
No.
So is it sort of more intimate if there's less people there?
Well, it probably is a little more intimate, yeah, sure, and you can relax a little bit more. But it all works on a two-way basis. I mean, you get back what you give, really.
Yeah, and the people that did turn up, were they very pleased with
They
the
were
show?
indeed. Most of them were absolutely enthusiastic about the whole thing.
Yep, excellent. So tell me about folk music in New Zealand. Is there quite a big revenue for it? Is there enough support for it?
I wouldn't say there's a huge revenue for it, but there's certainly plenty of support, yeah. I mean, it's grown an awful lot from the early days of the 1960s through to and it's diversified a lot too.
Yeah, do you feel there's government support for it? You know, government funding or anything like that? Or should there be?
I don't know that there's much government funding. I mean, we've got Creative New Zealand and we've got Music on Air, but I don't know that it's a government's responsibility to really push it.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So for a young musician starting out in the business, how would they go about it? I mean, is there many young folk musicians out there?
There are. Most folk festivals keep slots open for youngsters to have a go. And I know that the Auckland Folk Festival has a scholarship for a young performer each year, and they've sent performers off to the States to study over there. So, yeah, there's plenty of enthusiasm amongst the younger generation.
Oh, excellent. That's good to hear. So you've been performing for decades. How has the folk music evolved since you were young yourself?
Well, I've been performing folk music since the 1960s. And in the early days, it was very much Americana, Peter, Paul and Mary Kingston trio sort of thing. And over the years, it's totally diversified. We've got blues, we've got world music, Celtic music, and traditional forms of music from all around the world.
Best of luck for Phil and the rest of the team in organising next year's Arts Festival. Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, Hamilton occasional showers with fresh westerlies. Your expected high is 15 with an overnight low of 7. For the rest of the Waikato, occasional showers with fresh westerlies. Paeroa, your expected high is 16 with a low of 6. Matamata 14 and a low of 7. Te Awamutu, you have a high of 15 and a low of 7. Tokoroa 13 and 5 are your expected temperatures. Taking a look at the Bay of Plenty now, Tauranga a shower or 2. Fresh westerlies, your expected high is 16 with an overnight low of 8. And Te Puke mainly fine, a shower or 2 spreading from the west. Fresh westerlies, a high of 14 with an overnight low of 8. That is Central News for today. Like us on Facebook or email us at news@tvcentral.co.nz to let us know any interesting stories in your community. Join us again tomorrow night for more stories from around the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. I'm Amy Forrest. Have a great evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.